Welcome back, everyone, to the Enterprise J in Blender. We're leaving off, I'm sorry, we're actually starting off almost right where we left off in the last episode. Not a whole lot have changes has been made, but we're going to start off this episode with trying to fix something which you've heard me mention in the previous episodes if you're following along, to where I always prefer when dealing with the model to try to use um, quads instead of tries within the mesh, and try to have proper edge loops. And here's one of the issues why, and this is something I'm going to address at the beginning of this episode before we move on. You can see right here there's some anomalies within the mesh that doesn't really quite, it just doesn't go very well with the rest of the ship. Um, you know, Now what I've decided to go ahead and do is, for the overall shape of the ship, is especially for the secondary section, is I'm going to go more of kind of a triangle type look. Um, Maybe something, well, it looks more like triangular up in the front. From the side, it's going to still pretty much look like this. I mean, where it's kind of round. I might flatten it out just a little bit back here where the shuttle bay is at, the cargo bay, holding docking area. But in the front, it's going to be more kind of sharp, almost into a point, where we're going to have the secondary deflector dish and the infamous window. Which, thinking about this, I've kind of come up with a couple of ideas of what to do up here in the front, but we'll address those in a minute. But let's first off, for the sake of time, let's go ahead and address this. Now, if I straight it out, or if I take off the subsurf, you can somewhat see them go away. I mean, there's still a couple of anomalies there, but that's primarily because of the some of it is that I'm going to have to start addressing some of these issues here on these vertices, which to a certain degree isn't terribly difficult to do. I just got to just go in and manipulate each one. Um, Let me do this real quick. Go in and just kind of slightly modify. And if push comes to shove, what I can do to try to get that a lot straighter is just delete all those vertices all in one go and then redraw them. But it's primarily just kind of going in and adjusting a little bit. You know, Take a look at it, then go back, look at it again, adjust, do some more adjusting, look at it again, do some more adjusting, look at it again. But just by doing that, I got a couple of edge loops which look like they're a little bit too close. And it's just because of the way that Blender's trying to render these edges. Even though that I am doing smooth rendering on straight edges, it kind of looks like, it doesn't look too good. But when you put it in subsurf, I mean, like if you look at these areas here, you see how that is. And that's, once again, that's all because of the edge loops. I can smooth it out by putting in a couple of additional edge loops in there and then smooth those vertices. But once you apply the subsurf modifier, which, let me do that. Whoop, nope, not that. There. Once you apply the subsurf modifier, it really smooths it out. So it's not that big of an issue, but we still have those issues there. And if you look, that is right around in the area of where we have these tries here. So I'm going to address that real quick by applying two more additional edge loops along this portion right here, and then blending those in, and we'll see how that looks. First thing that I need to go ahead and do is, I don't want to just immediately go ahead and do a Control R and add the edge loop in there, because see, it's right now doing what it's supposed to do. It's putting in the edge loop and it's following this entire edge right here. And if I do go over here, it follows that edge over there. So what I need to do first is I need to select this face and this face, and I'm going to delete those faces just temporarily. Now what I can do, now see, the reason about why it's, I'll back up. The reason about why it's doing that is because when you do a subsurf, it's looking at where edges are where edges are tying into vertices, and because there's three edges all tying into this one vertice, it's pulling that vertice down and in. Think of it as kind of like each one of these edges pulls a vertice in tension. So when you got three of them that are going into one vertice like that, it's really pulling that down. I mean, you could see it if I was to go ahead and delete just that one vertice. Whoop, maybe not that vertice. Um, delete this edge here. It straightens it out. But once I put it there, it kind of pulls them down. So what we're going to do is, let's go back into it. I'm going to delete these two edges, or faces, I'm sorry, really. Then I'm going to add in an edge loop there and another edge loop there. Now let me double check, make sure that it's not. Okay, from what I am seeing, what it's doing is it's just going up. Okay, yeah, that I'm not displeased with. That's actually pretty good how that's working out. It's actually looping back that way, so it's not looping that way, so it's not, so it's still keeping everything into quads, and that's what I was just hoping that it wasn't going to come all the way back into here. So that's actually pretty good, and that actually might kind of help out with the way that that's modeling. Now what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and select these. We do add a face, select those, add an additional face. Let me delete that edge there. That's one thing I don't quite fully understand with the way the blender works. Sometimes if you take two tries and put them together, it into a quad, it deletes that edge. But other times it don't. I don't know why it does that. Oh wait, I might have put in, hold up. Okay, hold up. Let me back up here real quick. I think I might have put in an extra edge that was unnecessary. Oh, really? You're going to do this to me? All right. No problem. Oops. I might cut this part out. Let me just go through and remove those. Actually, let's see something. Let's leave that there first. We select, face, yes, wait. Okay, select, face, there we go. Select. Oops. Oh, that's why. There we go. Let me remove that. That will help me out tremendously. 1, 2, 3, 4. Face. Oh, let me delete that edge there. There we go. Like that. All right. And yeah, okay. Apparently I moved that. Now let's do this right now. Oh, wait, no. Okay. No, I did do that right. Okay, there, wait. Aha, there we go. I knew there was another one somewhere. All right, so we delete that edge there. Then we put in that face there, and now those are all turned into quads. Oh, well, no, okay, yeah, that's good. All right. Where did that come from? Got a little straggler vertice there. All right, so now if I go ahead and apply all this, there, looks a lot better. Because now I mean, there's still some anomalies there, which I can iron it out, but it's still nowhere near as bad as it was before. So that's why, I mean, it's a lot smoother, and that I can deal with, and that's just, once again, going in and moving some of these vertices around. So let me go into the front view here. Front view, yeah. It's going to pull up that image. There we go. And that's just moving these around just ever so slightly, just to try to get that get that flow to look right. But yeah, that looks a lot better there. Yeah, see, already. So that's why I prefer to try to use quads as much as possible, because especially when you do a subsurf modifier onto it, it really cleans up those edges nicely, and it gives it a lot more, gives it a lot more cleaner look. So yeah, so let's go ahead and move right along. Today, what I'm going to do is I want to try to flesh out this secondary hull. I still got a lot of work on the saucer section as well, but I'm going to work on implementing in the secondary deflector dish, and also see what we could do to kind of flesh out this back portion here. So we're going to be doing that today. So, and because it's the second time, I'm going to be trying to cut out to do a lot of the major changes. But if there's anything that I feel like that is worthy of me to mention, I'll be happy to either cut back in to show you what I'm doing, or I'll re-explain it again. But as far as the deflector dish is concerned, and the secondary hull is, I'm going to kind of uh, I'm trying to. It's going to be kind of a more of a unique type of deflector dish. It's not going to be the typical round deflector dish that we've seen on some of the earlier ones. It's going to be more of a triangle kind of like shape that blends in a lot better, I think, than a circular one into this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out and kind of throw that in there, and I'll cut back in when I get done, and we'll take a look at it. And we're back. So this is kind of what I have in mind. It's roughed in, there is no details. I'm just mostly just toying around with it. And I know that doesn't quite look like it's a Starfleet design for a deflector dish. Um, well, in one way it is, and in one way it isn't. I actually got the idea for this type of deflector dish on this particular type of ship, especially from the oh, what is it called? Not not the Daedalus. Dauntless, from the USS, from the Dauntless, which was in, oh, I can't remember the episode. So I'm just going to just pretend I'm not. I'm just going to start pretending like I know what I'm talking about, because I don't know the facts. But the NX-01-A. Now the Dauntless, if y'all don't know, was a Federation ship, or was thought to be a Federation ship. It ended up being a a fake Federation ship that somebody and another alien kind of created to try to lure in and trap members of the crew of Voyager, without going into a lot of the details regarding it. But it had a very similar and unique type of deflector dish up in the front. It was kind of triangle-ish, and it had a bunch of little bars going across, and it didn't look too Starfleetish, but it did look interesting, and it kind of showed that it was a new type of technology, because this ship was supposed to have this brand new type of uh, warp drive, or really wasn't kind of a warp drive. It was a different kind of drive on it. So I figured that with a new kind of drive, it might need a new kind of deflector dish into it, which is the reason I'm thinking. Now, the only reason about why I'm including it, or contemplating including it into this ship, is because even though the Dauntless was supposed to be a vessel of alien origin that only looked like a Federation vessel. Um, oh, let me. No, I didn't apply that. Why is that showing so many? Huh. Oh, that's right, because I'm in wire mode. That's right. Okay. But anyways, as I was saying, is that even though that it was supposed to be an alien origin ship, that ship did indeed show up in an episode of Enterprise as an actual Federation vessel. In the exact same episode where we saw the Enterprise J, we did see, flying amongst other ships, the actual Dauntless. Now, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but my quote unquote justification for it, for that ship actually being there, was that, Voyager got back, and the Federation, of course, might have looked at their scans of that particular type of ship, because they did take a lot of detailed scans of that ship trying to figure out, study it, figure out, is it an actual Federation vessel, how does it work, and trying to replicate the actual warp drive. And they probably looked at that thinking, well, this was an interesting design ship and it did do wonders to the warp drive, or not warp drive, but it did wonders in altering subspace for warp drive technology. So they may have actually implemented that design and created a ship based, quote unquote, based around the USS Dauntless, around its basic design. So I'm not set in stone on that type of deflector dish, but it is the one that, as of right now, that I'm planning on trying to run with it. I'm going to make a copy of this hull as it is as of right now. I went ahead and deleted all the other additional hulls because I'm not going to go back to those, but I make a copy of this one, so if I ever want to go back and change that, because I didn't like the way it was going and I went too far into this model to where it'd be just too difficult to roll back, then I can always just, delete this one and bring the other one back in. And this right here is not going to be too difficult for me to, revert back to the original look of the ship. So I did that. I've also went ahead and kind of added in these little details here that were on the wings. Nothing much in the way of changes. I was primarily just kind of just working on this. I had to go in and change some of the. I had to add in two extra edge loops to try to get this to where this would all be, quads in here, and smooth it out and go through a couple of renditions. And once again, it's not 100%. I still need to go in and clean up a lot of the edge loops, clean up a lot of the edges, not edge loops, but the edges here, do a lot of housekeeping on it if I decide to go ahead and continue it, and also give it some textures and stuff. I mean, like, if, with cleaning up, if we look right in here, this blue section is actually folding back in on itself. I mean, that, yeah, see, it's, I don't know if you can see that. Let me go ahead and just go into just that. Maybe we can, oh, no, that right there. Maybe we can see it a little bit better. Kind of. There. See, it's kind of just folded in. And there's ways I could fix that. I'll go ahead and fix it. But I just wanted to go ahead and just kind of start with that just to see what happens. I mean, there's still a lot of, as you can see right here, a lot of housekeeping that I need to do on this mesh once it gets done. Um, and part of that is probably going back through some of this and see if there's any way I can remove some of the edge loops, because currently right now with that, there we go, with that modifier applied, that's kind of that's how many new edges is going to be brought in on this ship. And I only have it on level, oh, okay, it's level 2. Let's see, well, level 1 looks a little bit better. Let's see what that looks like. Kind of. Yeah. Yeah, I might still go with 2. It only adds in, let's see, that level 1 only has 7,000, 8,000 vertices on that particular, there. Let's see, 1,000 vertices, as opposed if I go into, okay, see, that's not applying those vertices. But if I, all right, let's see, got 7,000, and if I go into level 2, wow, that almost triples it. So yeah, I might need to continue modeling this thing under. I don't know. We'll see what the final vertice count is on the entire model before, if I make the decision to go into view 1 and view 2. All right, but we got that. So now we were going to move on to the other thing real quick. Is the is back here where the shuttle bay is at. I already got an idea of how we're going to do that. Let me go into the back view here just to kind of look into it, and also into here. And I'm going to bring up the other. I just figured out what this thing is here. Um, and right when I said that, I just forgot what the name of it was called. But in the original, in the motion picture um, Enterprise Constitution class, the creator kind of saw that where to increase the power on the impulse engines, you had your warp drive that would, you know, split off at a central location. Some of that warp energy would go into the up into the pylons, up into the nacelles, and another portion of it at a reduced power would go up into here. And here it would be uh, redirected and channeled and dispersed out into the back impulse engines. And I kind of see that maybe that they're this might not be serving the same type of technology, but it's at least a throwback to that. You know, with it being in close proximity to this here, to where the impulse engine is at, that might be a possibility. So let me go ahead and kind of break off right here and work on a couple of things on what I'm planning on doing back here um, for the docking bay, and I'll be right back. Okay, and this is what I've come up with originally. This is just like how the deflector dish is and how a lot of this stuff is when if I'm not going by any particular type of reference, it is just a rough frame out. The reasoning of about why I'm going this particular path, or let me kind of, not really a particular path, but let me kind of explain. It's recessed, and there are actually three different shuttle bays in here. There is a Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. There is a larger shuttle bay for some of the larger craft. Now, if this ship is indeed about, a mile across or 2 miles across, then a small ship like a Nova class vessel could probably fit inside here. Anything bigger might be a bit too big. I don't think a Sovereign class would be able to fit in there or what have you. Um, but maybe like a Nova class or maybe even a Intrepid class type size vessel could probably fit inside there. And then these two smaller ones are regular shuttle bays. This is actually more of kind of a carrier sh- uh, docking shuttle or ship docking area. These two right here are going to be actual shuttle bays, for smaller aircraft and shuttles and things. Or what I might end up doing, I have to look at the size, compare the size of a 2 mile vessel, with um, with some of the others, is that there's a little space right here. If I go into edit mode, and it's a separate piece, so I can, you know, it's just, quickly just trying to prototype something. There is a face right here that I can go ahead and try extruding that and then move that around and maybe use that as like a smaller shuttle bay potentially, to where we can have, large ships, small ships, or, well, small ships, large shuttles, like runabouts or what have you, and then smaller shuttles and work bees and things like that inside there. What I'm also going to be working on, it's not modeled in yet. I'm going to wait until I have come to a conclusion of about whether if I like this particular type of layout. Is here I'm going to have windows where this is where you know I've always kind of had this intention to where this here is going to be a full-time job, so there's going to be, and when you got, let's think of it like three separate offices or maybe even its own little bridge all in this little area right here just for shuttle operations. Tractor beams and stuff will be around in here. They guide the ships in. They um, tell them where they can. They shuttle them in. Shuttle. That's a pun. You shuttle them in, put them in wherever they need to go. Depending on if this is full, they can move it over there, or they could. If they're too small for that, they could put them into there or what have you. If they need guidance, tractor beam them in. They. So there's like a I'm thinking like a bridge, once again, a bridge module somewhere around in here connected to this with windows so they can both view out and view in. And it's like a, oh, what is that? Air traffic controller tower where, they have a complete 360 view. So they have windows facing the outside and windows facing on the inside. When this is open up, you can see that so they can look on the inside and see what's going in or going on all these bays or what have you. Or maybe even three separate, you know, ones for one for this one for this bay, and another one for this bay. So I'm going to be kind of toying around with that and playing around with that just to see how I like it. And also, I'm going to go ahead and try to continue to model this down to just a one view, at first, because if I can get it to look good in one view, I can get it to look good in two view. The way I always like to try to model this, if I can get it to look good, you know, relatively good at a low poly model, let's say like, okay, this is what it's going to look like, the poly is going to look like if it's in a game, then if I can get it to look somewhat good in this in this zone, when I apply it, the subsurf modifier, then it should look even better. And then if I can get it to look even better into this, if I go to level 2, it should look, far better. And I mean, you can see right up here my vertice counts. I mean, at no view, I just for this body alone, it's, oh, okay. Thought I saw something. 21,000 vertices. If I put it into one, it goes up to 27. Then if I give it to level 2, it goes up to 50,000 verts total inside that model. So everybody, I'm going to go ahead and call the episode a quit right, or I'm going to stop the episode right here. You know, I'm going to continue to kind of work on this. Once again, I've decided that this is pretty much kind of what I'm going to be, you know, as my starting point. And I might abandon this idea for the auxiliary deflector altogether. And this is kind of the basis. I mean, this is just, you know, the primitive look of the shuttle bay area, and I might even probably change it. In fact, I'm even thinking right now, while I'm thinking about it, is that what if instead of, you know, doors here, it's just open, so instead of the shuttlecraft being here and here, this door can open up, and then they can, or this door is not even there, it's just a hollow area where they can kind of move in, and then they can dock sideways into sideways or side facing shuttle bays. That way they're even more protected or what have you. I don't know. I'll toy around with it off screen, and if I see anything that I like, I'll be happy to go ahead and show y'all in the next episode. But let me know what y'all think regarding those. So this so far it's looking pretty good. Um, Looking at it from the front, I actually kind of like that little more exposed secondary hull. I don't know about y'all. Looking at it from the side, um, gives it a little bit more mass rather than what, not taking anything away from what you know um, Doug Drexler did. But I mean, you got that profile, then you got that profile. That one looks good. That one, okay. This is my opinion, but of course I'm the one building it. And in the front, let's take a look at from the front. We got, you know, Drexler's. Whoops. Why? Oh, that's right. Today. I'm sorry. Had a little bit of a brain fart there. Okay, there we go. That's the original model, and that's my model with the slight little modifications. And I know with these modifications, some people are probably going to say, well, this isn't the actual Enterprise J, it's just a variant. And, if anybody wants to say that, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But anyways, yeah, so this is end of the episode. This is B-Belt Dan. This is the Enterprise J in Blender. I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.